It's been a long time coming, but the sim racing title Rennsport is finally here. I mean, if you have a PC, then you may be thinking, wait, wasn't it already here? And yes it was, but only in testing form. Now it's hit version 1.0 and consoles to boot this week. At long last then, it's time to score it. Here is our Rennsport review. Before we delve into the minutiae, let's briefly zoom out and consider what Rennsport actually is. This is a simulation racing game that's gone through a lengthy and pretty public gestation period, harking back to a 2022 launch event. It's now finally left early access on PC after a series of closed and open betas, and launches for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S simultaneously. There are shiny Unreal Engine 5 powered visuals, single-player championships, competitive online multiplayer, a car list made up entirely of contemporary race cars, plus a roster of real and fictional tracks. The creators, competition company and Teon, claim there are serious vehicle dynamics too, honed over the last 3 years of top-flight esports competitions using beta versions. So with all of that in mind, is Rennsport ready to take on the existing sim racing titles? Not yet, and here's why. We'll start with what we think is the most important element, the driving experience. Put simply, it's a mixed bag. Some vehicles are enjoyable, but others aren't. While different car types should feel distinct in their inputs and reactions, we don't perceive all of them to be authentic. For instance, something like the BMW M2 CS Racing is pretty hopeless. In other simulations, such as iRacing for instance, this isn't the most athletic vehicle, but in direct comparison, Rennsport's rendition is even more lethargic, unpredictable, and frustratingly wayward. Its behaviour mid-corner as the weight shifts feels unnatural, leading to an oversteery loss of momentum. And then we get the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, the racing machine from ubiquitous single-make championships the world over. A corner will likely begin with significant understeer, as if the steering lock isn't applied correctly, or there's an exaggeration of the car's rear bias weight distribution. You must turn your wheel up to 90 degrees through simple fast kinks that in other cars require a mere flick of the wrist. On the flip side, the GT3 cars remain mostly satisfying, feeling as if they have received more development attention. The pre-order bonus Mustang exhibits some odd traits, and we're not saying that this is the most rewarding GT3 in all of sim racing. They don't seem to respond to trail braking for instance, but it shows that when a concerted effort is made, engaging behaviour is possible. And even the all-electric Porsche Mission R, apart from its battery-powered nature, can actually be pretty fun. Speaking of fun, racing game fans have got so many new titles to look forward to in the coming months, and if you want to see all of our Traxion YouTube coverage of these games as they're released, whether that's reviews, guides, or live streams, do subscribe to this Traxion channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our videos. The mercurial nature of the game's dynamics is, sadly, carried across into several other important elements. Take the sounds for instance. Just listen to how flat and anemic that BMW M2 sounds. And what about this McLaren 720S GT3? Is the engine sound duplicated or something? And let's not even talk about the Praga R1. Some curbs don't sound like, well, a car driving over a curb, but rather like someone dragging their knuckles along a metal fence. There have been concerns about Rennsport's audio for several years now, and while some engines have clearly made steps forward, like the AMG GT3, others are languishing at the bottom of the charts, like a modern-day Weezer single. This Aston Martin F1 team's style inconsistency also carries into the visuals. On the surface, tracks are luscious and car models are detailed, but there's an all too familiar ghosting effect paired with Vaseline smooth wheel animations we've seen from other racing games using similar visual technology. On some PCs, details can pop in for buildings in the distance, and fences at the likes of Daytona look pretty jagged. But that's nothing compared to the base PlayStation 5 edition, which has foliage texture pop-in that's analogous to PS2-era GTA Vice City. The visuals are intricate, they just appear right in front of your car, while the rear-view camera and mirror quality is straight from the Temu graphics department. That's not the only rough edge either, as there is a litany of almost unforgivable errors. Rolling starts for one. The pole sitter's instructions are contradictory, almost certainly leading to confusion, and often an unavoidable drive-through penalty. Sometimes the safety car loses its faculties, as if it doesn't quite know what it's meant to be. Am I a toaster? Am I playing left back at Anfield? Oh no, wait, I'm meant to be controlling the pack. As it careens into the nearest wall.
Oh, dearie, dear.
There's more weirdness too. Hello and welcome to the first ever Rennsport Weird Issues and Glitches chart. In at number 6 we have replays. They routinely crash the game when on PC, and when they don't crash the game they can be very glitchy and frustrating to navigate. Then at number 5 it's doing a time trial at Goodwood Hill Climb, because that is the reason you would do the Goodwood Hill Climb. Unfortunately, your engine doesn't actually start until the clock reaches 0. Coming in hot at number 4, it's custom single player races, because if you crash, and you probably will, there's actually no way of restarting the event without quitting out entirely. Just a little restart button would be fantastic. Now number 3, if you're using a gamepad and automatic gears in a standing start multiplayer race scenario, it's not exactly clear how to build up your engine revs without getting a jump start. So close to the top, but coming in at number 2, if you turn off the virtual mirror, you're left with a black bar at the top of your screen, unless you physically remove it in the HUD editor. And finally, in at number 1, it is your angelic floating pit crew, because yes, there are times when you enter pit lane and your crew is beautifully floating way up above you. However, by far and away the most egregious issue right now is the performance of the single player rivals. The AI is completely and utterly crazy, simply unraceable. Now Traxion understands that Rennsport is working on fixes, maybe even as soon as this week, to address some of these issues. We can't help but think it'll take more than one patch to rectify though. There is a limited single-player campaign whereby you progress through a series of championships, meant primarily as a tool to get you up to speed before heading into multiplayer. Post-release, these are expected to be expanded upon too, but the on-track action isn't currently up to the necessary level for you to want to play through. Your rivals don't blend when coming out of pit lane, instead making a sharp turn onto the racing line. Around the Orchard Road street circuit, they cannot complete a race without an embarrassing pile-up. It's like unintentional wreckfest. The qualifying times are also falsified. You can be quickest on track, only for the game to put you 8th on the grid, and 2 or 3 seconds slower than the pole time. Then, in the race, dust the entire field by the end of the first lap. As you progress through the championships, the difficulty level of your opponents ramps up. Sometimes you may have 1 or 2 drivers who are actually at your speed, but the majority of your rivals could be lapped before the end of a 5-lap affair. This is the Windows Vista of single-player driving games. There are goldfish with higher IQs than your AI-powered rivals as they weave in braking zones, awkwardly crash into each other, or slow mid-corner, or even on a straight. And yet, it's not all bad. Rennsport has a saving grace, and that is online racing. All this talk about esports events and learning from the competitors, there is some truth to that at least. A USP is offering cross-platform multiplayer with physics parity, and it works right now from the off. We've been in races using a gamepad on console or with a wheel on PC against a mix of people on opposing devices, and had some superb battles. The netcode car contact, for the most part, allows for close racing with a bit of rubbing. We did encounter the odd phantom contact, but more often than not, racing is smooth and stable. Gamepad players can be reasonably competitive too. Remarkable really, considering Rennsport's other downfalls. It's a huge technical feat that's not been achieved to this extent before in 4-wheeled sim racing. MotoGP 25 offers something similar, but Assetto Corsa Competizione allows console crossplay but excludes PC, for example. It's just a shame there's no way of currently hosting private servers or lobbies with friends. Irrespective of cross-platform play, there is a ranking system for official contests, consisting of the ever-popular safety rating and Rennsport rating driver score. Longer events with quicker cars will be off-limits until you level up. There is a lack of network-connected driver swaps for endurance-style competitive racing, but the tyre wear and fuel usage systems appear to be in place should that feature be added further down the line. Same for rain, which is currently absent, but we're told in development. Elsewhere, particular credit must be given to the visual stability, whether single player or multiplayer. Frame rates appear to be solid on our tested PC hardware and PS5. Then there's the user interface, which, for the most part, is clear, concise, and easy to navigate. A special mention for the damage model while we're at it. While it can look a little apocalyptic in the way holes are punched into cars, and a strange black smoke can emanate during car-to-car contact, the visual deformation is more detailed than some of its contemporaries. On top of which, there are thoughtful touches throughout, such as upon first booting the game, an immediate wheel setup guide, a checklist during the animated pit stops, an in-game achievements list reminding us of Forza Horizon's compelling accolades system, and a fully customizable HUD, even on console. Speaking of which, loading times on PS5 are rapid. All is not quite lost then. So, where does that leave Rennsport? Well, as a single-player console game, a confused and unfinished mess. As a multiplayer racer, much better thanks to dependable netcode, a ranking system, and functioning cross-platform play. Even when looked through that lens, there is a distinct lack of car and track content, just 18 cars plus a pre-order bonus, and 14 tracks. 2 classic race car DLC packs have been announced for later, Old DTM and Endurance Sports Cars, with the details on our website. We've also been told that not all extra cars will be paid for, as free editions will start arriving next year. But we're concerned about the pace at which content is created, and for this price point, between €49.99 and €59.99 for the base edition depending on the platform, we're not convinced there's enough here presently. Worse, there are so many experience-wrecking bugs, glitches and offbeat moments right now, we think it's fair to say that it simply isn't finished. Again, we're told several improvements are imminent and work will continue into 2026, but against stiff competition, Rennsport doesn't do enough presently to break through the existing sim racing hegemony of iRacing, Le Mans Ultimate, or Race Room for PC owners. For console players, it starts to make a lot more sense. It is a simulation title on PlayStation and Xbox, with ranked multiplayer and some new real-world race cars. But that's all it is, don't expect there to be much in the way of single player. Our score is 5 out of 10, and we'll happily revisit this should the next year show signs of improvement.